Management and Leadership Mentoring and Coaching interview with Algernon Adonis at JPS Africa Podcast Studio and at Brooklyn, Pretoria. One of the most significant evolutions in leadership development over the last decade is the shift from institutionalized individual leadership coaching to team-based coaching. Today, we are reflecting on JPS Africa's Management and Leadership Mentoring and Coaching program. I'm joined by our financial manager, Algernon Adonis. Algernon, welcome.
Thank you.
How did the Management and Leadership Mentoring and Coaching program at JPS Africa assist you in your transition into management?
I think it's important to reflect first on my past experiences. The past experiences were basically just evolving around my individual contribution. Ever since joining JPS Africa, it is more team orientated. But the initial phase, or the first phase of the coaching and mentoring program, it's creating the psychological safety. And this came from the coach and the coachee. So the first thing that we discussed was, what are our expectations from the coach as well as the coachee? And then looking at creating psychological safety, it evolves around me as the coachee being comfortable enough and open enough to answer questions freely. Not just answering questions freely, but also asking questions freely. Also looking at my coach, having the ability to identify my weaknesses and my strengths, and me being comfortable with it. So that is the most important part for me from the coaching and mentoring program at JPS Africa.
Did the Management and Leadership Mentoring and Coaching program change the way you think about decision making and responsibility?
Yes, if I think about decision making, I can refer back to one of our coaching and mentoring sessions. When I think about the decision making, I can reflect back on the coaching session I had with my coach, looking at the decision space module. So when we look at the decision space module, we're looking at the space, referring back to it's either your unit or department. For example, for myself, it is my space is the finance department. That's the space. Then we look at capacity. Capacity looks at your knowledge, your skills, and your experience. And then we look at accountability. So the decision space model revolves on the three aspects of the space, the capacity, and accountability. So once you've made that decision, we also look at the following aspects. If you've made that decision, is it reversible? Meaning that can you correct that decision? Irreversible, meaning that there's nothing you can do about that decision. But also, is it consequential or inconsequential? So it's very important to understand the decision space model revolving around the decisions that we make in our day-to-day activities, because it might seem trivial or it might seem easy, like you've made that decision and that's the end of it. But if you fully understand the decision space model, you can look at your decisions in a different way, or you can look at your actions in a different way and apply the decision space model and ask yourself those questions. Is it my space, number one? Number two, do I have the capacity? Do I have the necessary knowledge, the skills, as well as the experience to make that decision? And then thirdly, you will be accountable for it. Can I account for that decision? Once you can answer that confidently, you also look at, after making that decision, is it reversible or irreversible? And then also, is it consequential or inconsequential?
You are an MBA student. How does the coaching program add value to your studies?
I think I'm very fortunate to be part of the coaching and mentoring program at JPS Africa. It kind of gives me a little bit of advantage compared to the other students. It gives me the advantage due to the fact that I can, number one, I can apply theory and put it into practice. Number two, I'm currently busy with a module called Managing and Developing People, technically an HR module, whereby I can apply my direct learnings from my coaching sessions with my coach into my module and apply it into my current assignment. For example, at Milpark, where I'm doing my MBA, they've introduced the GROW module. The GROW basically looking at what is your goal, what is realistic, what is your options, and then the way forward. So while being introduced to that GROW module, In my studies during February, March 2026, the GROW module has been introduced to me during last year's coaching sessions with my coach. Also, it relates directly to WIL, which is work integrated learning, and WBL, which is work-based learning. So as I previously stated, it allows me to apply my theory into practice, that is part of WIL, but also the coaching sessions with my coach, whereby certain activities as the finance manager has been identified, and that relates directly to my work-based learning. It gives me a little bit of advantage compared to the other students, whereby normally our MD say theory means nothing if you cannot apply it. So currently I am doing my theory, which is at Molpark during my MBA, but at JPS Africa, I am being afforded the opportunity to take that theory and put it into practice.
In what ways has the Management and Leadership Mentoring and Coaching Program contributed most to your personal and professional growth?
I think during one of my coaching sessions, emotional intelligence came up. This is not just only for a personal development aspect, but also from being a leader or being a manager within JPS Africa. We're dealing with different personalities, we're dealing with different people, and therefore can erupt into something bigger, whereby as a manager or as a leader, you would think it's something small. But during my coaching sessions, the emotional intelligence aspects were brought up: self-regulation, self-awareness, motivation, and empathy. Therefore, in each and every situation, or if conflict arises, I can apply emotional intelligence and take a step back and ask myself, how am I handling myself? That is self-awareness. How am I regulating myself during the situation? Do I have enough empathy for whether it's a direct report or whether it's a conflict or a conversation, discussion with another manager? Am I able to be motivated? Do I have the empathy for my colleague? And then last but not least, what is motivating me? So therefore you take yourself out of the situation, like I said, whether it's a conflict, whether it's just a normal discussion. I can also apply the HARE module during any conflict or any situation, whereby the HARE module, the H is for helicopter. It's basically a problem-solving toolkit for yourself. So the H is helicopter. You look at the problem or you look at the incident or the situation from a helicopter view, which gives you an aerial view of the situation. And then you perform an analysis. You look, or A for analysis. The I is for imagine. R for reality. So that's the HARE module. And all of these modules has been introduced to me ever since I joined JPS Africa, during coaching sessions or during our staff retreats.
How has managing others influenced the way you approach problem solving and conflict?
I think one of the most important aspects that we've raised in the beginning of the interview was that we are shifting from individual coaching to team coaching. I think that is one of the most important aspects that have given me or given myself the ability as a manager within JPS Africa to see the views of the team. So during team coaching, it's similar to an individual coaching. You start off with the initial phase where the expectations from coach and the expectation from the coachees are being identified. Then we look at creating psychological safety. Once we're in team coaching, it's no more a manager with an assistant or a manager with a junior. It's an equal level or an equal footing, whereby we are free to share what is the problems that we can identify, and also linking it back to emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not just for managers, but it's also for the team to understand and to grasp these concepts. And then team coaching also allows us to basically have communication with regards to every aspect of the organization. In the beginning of the year, we had the staff retreat, whereby the theme that I identified was taking people with you. And during my coaching sessions, I was proud to say that I'm applying the theme of taking people with me. And my coach, the MD, said, "So what?" At first, I was taken aback and I asked myself, why this question? But then she came back and she said to me, the so what relates to what have you done as a manager to take people with you? And most of the time, as managers, we think of grand gestures to take people with us. And she said, no, it can be small little interactions, but genuine and authentic interactions with our direct reports. It could be a good morning, which is the general respect and values of interacting with people. And it can also just be a genuine and authentic, how are you doing? Are you okay? And in that way or in that manner, you can take people with you. But also to ensure, at JPS Africa, we pride ourselves as a learning organization, and therefore transference of skills is important to us. So with that being said, it also allows us then the transference of skills to the finance officer, and then from the finance officer, transferring skills to the finance assistant. And in that way, we all benefit from the individual coaching, but also benefit from the team coaching.
Would you recommend the JPS Africa Management and Leadership Mentoring and Coaching Program to other managers?
Not just other managers, but I will go as far to say to any other managers outside JPS Africa. The one question that you asked me was, how does it influence or benefit my MBA studies? And I stated that it gives me a little bit, or it gives me an extra advantage. You get exposed to concepts, frameworks, ideas during my coaching sessions with our managing director, and therefore it also allows me the opportunity to be free, whether I'm stuck with an assignment or whether I'm stuck on a topic. I can freely go to our managing director, which is my coach, and I can ask, can you please explain it to me? So in that way, like I stated before, the psychological safety has been created, whereby there is openness. I can go to her and I can freely ask her, kindly assist. So yes, I would advise every manager within JPS Africa for our coaching program, as well as any other managers outside JPS Africa to come and join our coaching program.
And there you have it. When leader grows and the team grows, capability accelerates. This is where leadership development becomes a system, not an isolated event. This is how we build high-performance teams at JPS Africa through management and leadership mentoring and coaching program. Algernon, thank you.
Thank you.